a big welcome to our final WTA Finals live stream, not from Riyadh, from Grande, Spain this time. And pardon my voice, this often happens when I travel a lot. I went from Riyadh to London to then going back to Newcastle to see some family for 24 hours before I've got back home here to Spain. And yeah, you often pick up these little bugs, I guess, when you're traveling a lot and your body's a little bit run down. But a big welcome to you all. If you're listening to this on the live stream, then a big hello. Get your final questions in. Please, I'm here to answer questions. But today, as I promised that I would give you a summary, a few days of reflection now on Thursday evening. The event finished on Saturday night. So life moves pretty fast, right? People are in Malaga, and hope everyone is okay across Spain because we've had a lot of flooding. I know Malaga was delayed, had a couple of days where the players couldn't play. So hope everyone is well and ready for an exciting event as the Billie Jean King Cup is happening, but also the Davis Cup is happening as well. And then obviously we've got our eyes on the ATP Finals in Turin, where big shout out to Harry Haliavara and Henry Patton, who were on the show last week. They're through to the semi-finals with a perfect 3-0 record. Incredible year that they've had, and all the best to everybody as they finalize their places into the semi-finals in the next couple of days. But what I want to do, I just want to give a bit of a summary of the event, a little bit about, I guess, learnings, maybe learnings, the things that I would say were done really well, the things that could be a little bit better as they go into the second year in Riyadh next year. I'm going to touch on a few of my pet peeves. There's a couple of pet peeves that came up in Riyadh. I'm going to speak honestly. I'm going to speak openly, linked to my philosophies. If I annoy anybody, I apologise, but I'm speaking from the heart. So I'll be giving those. A little touch on British tennis. Couple of little cultural things that I picked up from, believe it or not, in Riyadh on British tennis. I just want to kind of pose some questions on that, really. And then lastly, the impact of the event, the impact that it's had on Saudi, on the tennis world, where we feel that the event has gone and how successful it was. So, like I say, any questions, please do fire them in. But just as a bit of a starting point for me, the event itself, how it was run, I really can't speak highly enough of everybody that ran the event, the WTA, for what they put and brought together for the locals. I bumped in, and I wish I knew the guy's name. I recognize him. I see him at a lot of events on the operations side, and I bumped into him in the queue late on Sunday night as we were flying back from Riyadh. And he said it so well. He said a lot of the locals that were helping him operationally, they maybe didn't have the technical knowledge in the roles that they were playing, but they had absolute enthusiasm in abundance, and you felt it. One of the things, being a Geordie, being from Newcastle, that I love, and when I go to the Big Smoke in London, I struggle with this, is in Newcastle, everyone is speaking and looking at you, giving you eye contact, saying hello, a smile, a friendly face. And that's the way I was brought up. And, you go to big cities like London and everyone's avoiding you and eye contact, looking down. Now, from the word go in Riyadh, we were welcomed with open arms in every single situation. Whether that's transport, whether that's hotel, whether that's the people doing the food, whether that's the people coming to measure, make sure the net's the right size at the courts. Every single person seemed unbelievably happy to have us there. And that gave us a warm feeling. And I think that played a big role into the success of the event. So a big well done to everybody on that, because these are the things that make a big difference. Courts were fantastic. I thought the way it was set up with the practice courts, 3 courts, really nice vibe, player lounge overlooking, beautifully done. I quite like the court surface, a little bit of speed to it. I think we play on too many slow courts. It's nice to have something that gives a little bit more from the court. Obviously, you could play with spins. You could get the ball skidding. You could get the ball cutting up a little bit as well. And I think by a few days, everyone got absolutely used to that. But it led to a lot of attacking tennis. Practice courts, fantastic. Lots of opportunity. Obviously, I wish we could play tournaments with such few players all the time because you don't have any arguments for practice. So that was brilliant. But just overarchingly, just a special feeling. The players got little presents each day. Coaches got a couple of presents as well, which never goes astray. We'll never say no to that. But they were made to feel really special, which they should do. It's the showcase event. You've made the showcase event. It is special. We see how special it is in Turin. And I would say from a tournament side, the players were made to feel special. And, the player services, lots of opportunities. One day I got a letter saying, "Congrats, coach, we'd like to give you a massage cash in on your massage at the hotel." These things go a long way. The players had a lot of that. There was a lot of trips. We went to a football match. We saw Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not his biggest fan, but he is a superstar, and it was good to see him. The atmosphere was genuinely top 10 I've ever been to football match. It was really, really incredible. On the last day before we left, we went to the edge of the world, this stunning in the desert, sunset, and, all of these opportunities were there. For us to enjoy Saudi Arabia, to enjoy our time. Some beautiful restaurants that we went to. I didn't go for the manicures, the pedicures. I didn't want to scare off the ladies who were doing that, but the girls did. They're getting their hair done. Just all of these little things that they go a long, long, long way. And then just like I say, the people, everyone that we were in with, a big shout out to Guli and her team in the salon. They became big fans, I think, of Gaby and Erin, understandably so. And they were fantastic, looked after us incredibly well. Just lovely people, and getting to share stories and understand their country a little bit more with those guys was really nice. When we were at the football, we had people coming up to us just thanking us for being here, and we're so excited to welcome you guys to our country. That was lovely to see as well, and I have to give everyone a big shout out for that. Some improvements, logistical sides. When you've got tennis players, there's certain things you need to get right. They travel away from home 35, 40 weeks a year. I don't drink coffee, but they do, nearly all of them. Get the coffee right. From what I'm understanding, the coffee wasn't great. That's just a non-negotiable. Get the coffee right and get the Wi-Fi right. Wi-Fi wasn't very good. So if you're there, you're working, you're scouting matches, you're doing things. We need good Wi-Fi. Not to be a spoilt brat, but just I think there is some constructive bits, and I think it's important to understand for this to operationally work. These things are very important. The food was good, but the variety of food, I think, for the players. First couple of days, it was like, oh, this is good. But again, comparing to ATP and Turin, ATP finals, it's not a scratch on that. They did a good job, but I thought the variety of food could have been a lot better for the players. We walked into the VIP area one day, and interestingly, it seemed better in there than it was in the players' lounge. That shouldn't be the case. The players should be getting what they need food-wise. And at times, that could have been a little bit better. So a couple of constructive things. A big one, big improvement for me, and they got this right on finals weekend, but beautiful stadium, 4,200 people fit into that stadium. There wasn't enough people there. We heard about it. I know Tim Henman spoke about it, and it made quite big news in the UK. Not enough fans there, and not just fans, right? This was an opportunity, and I think they made up for it at the weekend. But moving forward, I'd like to see them capitalise on that all week, and having youngsters there, having girls there, having women there. Let's make a difference. We've got these special women, these greatest athletes in the world, in the best sport in the world, playing in Riyadh. There was a chance there, and I think they let that one go amiss a little bit. Fill the stands with school kids. Do what you can. this out far and wide. So I would say that would be a big area of improvement. They did some nice things around that. Judy Murray was there, Martina Hingis, Nicole Pratt. They were running certain workshops with coaches, with players, with girls. I'd like to have seen more participants, I think. It seemed like it was relatively few that got involved. But obviously, it's great to be using your assets within the world of tennis, and certainly on the women's side. So I was really pleased to see that. But next year, I'd like to see that being grown on. That's for sure. Now, don't forget, your questions in if you do have any questions. My WhatsApp's been down the last couple of hours, so I haven't actually seen, and also my phone, I've got a new phone, so I haven't actually got on to see if there was any messages coming through earlier from social media. So I do apologize if those questions were coming through. Please do send them if I haven't answered them. I'm happy to answer the questions. But now just, I guess, moving on to a couple of my pet peeves. Anyone that knows me, I like people. And I always used to say I don't need a pet because I like people. I now have 2 dogs. It doesn't mean I like people any less. Just means I've got a family that loves dogs, and they've pushed a couple of dogs on me. But I do like dogs as well. I like teams. I like the feeling of, being together. We all live a relatively short life. None of us get out of here alive, right? So having people around feel good. And one thing that hits me is, yes, the WTA players are competing against each other, but they're also a team. Without each other, that operation doesn't work. It's like the traveling circus in lots of ways, and they need each other to entertain people, to get money that comes into the sport, and ultimately for them all to make a good living. And that was lovely. The atmosphere was fantastic. So I enjoyed that a lot. I talked about that a lot last week. Atmosphere amongst the team seemed great. But I do have a couple of things I didn't like. I like people being kind to people, and also on this stage, right, where we're on this stage where there's so much controversy, understandably so, with the WTA going into Saudi Arabia, with all of the challenges that we see from the outside in their country, and certainly around women's rights, the way that women are looked after. And I want to see women building each other up. Let's not just women, but human beings building each other up. And I saw from a couple of doubles teams, a couple of players act in such bratty ways towards their partner. Now, I'll not name names, but I don't think it takes a genius to work it out. But come on, guys, let's get those messages across properly. How we look after people, how we treat people. The same in the women's singles final, the handshake. Come on, you lost the match. It was a great match. I was there. 7-6 in the third. Shake hands properly. Look each other in the eye. Show the world that you can go hard, you can compete hard, but then you can give someone some gratitude. You can shake hands. You can show your appreciation for them. And I think we missed a couple of moments like that, if I'm honest, were a little bit pet peeves to me. And I don't think there's any place for that. And I hope that there's some learnings in that. I don't know if there will be. But the flip side of that is we saw also a lot of incredible women lifting each other up, supporting each other, and what can be achieved when that happens. I think Coco Gauff is just quite an incredible role model. We saw her at the photo shoot afterwards, got a lovely picture with Gaby, Erins and Coco, which we'll maybe post later today. And Coco said, "Hey, I'm so pleased you guys won. Like, every time I win, you guys win," because that happened at the US Open in 2023 as well. And there was a lovely moment. There was a lovely moment together. And I just want to say also a big thank you to Gaby and Erins, who I think showcased to the world what can truly happen when people come together and women come together and they lift each other up. They look after each other. They give unconditional support to each other, and you can rule the world. And that was a lovely message. And I think it's an important message, especially given the country and the situation that we were in. WTA finals for the first time in Saudi Arabia, first time in that part of the world. The impact on that is monumental. So that was a couple of pet peeves. I'll move on to my next pet peeve, and this one's not personal for me. This wasn't something personally I felt, but I bring this with curiosity. I know there's lots of British people that are listening to this. I know that we ultimately have a big following in Britain, understandably so, with the contacts that we have. And the Sky Sports team were there, which is great. What they do to tennis is incredible. Now, I just thought about this a few days ago, and it's bugged me a little bit, and it's bugged me from a higher level. It's bugged me from a British tennis culture standpoint, because myself and Craig Veal were there as British tennis coaches, and I love Craig. He's fantastic, and we've got a great relationship. We obviously competed. Our girls competed against each other. We had lovely conversations after, just like we did. Siniakova and Townsend, shout out to their team. They came straight up to us after the match, as we did at the Wimbledon final. Big congrats. It's really important, that we acknowledge people. Well done to their teams. Siniakova, world number one, incredible year. Two Grand Slams, different partners, phenomenal, and 40 in the world in singles. Amazing. And we told her that. All of these nice conversations happened. I spoke earlier in the week about the conversation with Paolini's coach. These moments are what you go away with. And the Sky team, full of kind of ex-British tennis players, I saw them every day. Pleasant. Do I know them? Yes, I do. I know them pretty well. Not really well, not best friends, but I know them. I think they know who I am, and they know that I'm coaching Gaby and Erins. I saw them every day after every match. And Jonathan Overend, shout out to Jonathan, who's a commentator. He was texting me, he came down, spoke to me, supported me, Brits together. I didn't get one well done on any day from the Sky Sports presenters. Now, like I said, I didn't think about it at the time. We don't do it for that. We don't do it for that reason. We don't do it for getting validation from different people. But I can't help thinking that in other tennis cultures that wouldn't happen. If we think about Spain, if we think about Australia, the Australian commentators and presenters were coming up to us. We were getting, myself and the girls getting some lovely messages, people coming up saying, and obviously the messages were incredible. Thank you so much. And we don't expect that. That's not why we do it. But I'm bringing up a bigger issue. It took me back to me being a child playing in British tennis. We just don't seem to have it in the culture that we're bigging each other up. Now, Jack Draper spoke about it on the podcast last year. This new group seem to, and that's fantastic. And I see it. Jack Draper, Paul Jubb, Jacob Thurnley. There seems to be a real camaraderie. The girls, Katie Poulter, Jodie Burridge, Emma Raducanu. There seems to be some lovely relationships, and they seem to be bigging each other up. I go back to that message again. In this world, we should be lifting each other up, not putting each other down. And it just felt that was a bit of a missed opportunity there in terms of just, and I guess it just filters into maybe the Gaby and Erins are world champions. It's a big achievement, and to their achievement, I'm the coach who's fortunate to be around them. But it felt like there could have been a little bit there that came, and I just wanted to bring that up. Get your thoughts. Is that British tennis culture is like? Am I being silly thinking that? I guess I'm just trying to be curious. And it's certainly something I felt as a player and as a coach when I coached back in the UK. And I didn't like the feeling that I had a couple of days after. So I thought I'd bring it up. I thought about not bringing it up, but like I've always said, I speak from the heart. I'm not going to beat around the bush on these podcasts. And I'd love to hear people's thoughts. Can we do a better job in the British tennis culture? And yeah, support each other a little bit more, get behind each other and lift the spirits. In terms of the impact, finally, the impact that it's had, it's hard to know. We were in a bubble. I certainly came away very enthused that we've been a part of something special. I came away very enthused listening to the locals speak and listening to the impact the event had had on them, listening to the changing circumstances in Saudi Arabia, in particular Riyadh, which I believe is kind of ahead of the curve in terms of the cities in Saudi Arabia. I personally felt inspired. I did. I felt inspired by these amazing women, these amazing athletes. I felt inspired by the conversations that were taking place. You know, the conversations that were being had with the people of Saudi. You know, I felt inspired when we went to the Canadian embassy and I saw the impact the girls were having on the team in the Canadian embassy and the messages that they were sending. And I really hope that there was an impact. You know, you have to see it to be it, you know, and seeing these amazing athletes, these amazing women, these amazing independent women doing that and living their life with freedom, living their life in the right way and putting their lives to such good use has to be a good thing. We need to see more people watching it next year. We need to continue getting people out to Saudi and to these places to showcase it. It's an educational piece. It's not going to change the culture. I'm sure there's a whole lot of things going on behind the doors, but it's certainly had an impact. To what level, I don't know, but we now have to build on it. We have to build on it. We have to keep promoting it, and we have to keep promoting these incredible women and getting them out there. And my last message absolutely remains, we also have to keep building each other up. We have to keep promoting women that are building each other up and making a difference. I have 2 daughters. That's the world I want them in. I want them to be whatever they want to be, and I want them to be fully supported in that. To have the opportunity to work with 2 amazing women in Gaby Dabrowski and Erin Routliffe has been inspirational. I hope it's inspirational for my daughters. I hope it's inspirational for many, many of you out there. And I hope a lot of you have taken so much from these WTA finals in Riyadh. I certainly did. Loved every minute of it. Hopefully we'll be back next year. Can never take it for granted, but it won't be for a lack of trying. I thank you guys for, as ever, supporting the podcast. We will be back very, very soon with another bunch of amazing episodes. But until next time, I'm Dan Kiernan, and we are Control the Controllables.